Hello. Today I'm going to talk to you about yoga. A lot of people have spoken about yoga till date, and a lot of people are practicing yoga today. Yoga has become a universal word covering all types of people from all parts of the world, speaking all types of languages, belonging to all types of cultures and belief systems, and what have you. And I'm going to talk to you about yoga. But I'm sure anybody who has looked at the title of this movie clip, of this recording, has definitely had something to do with yoga, and that is why you're watching this program right now. Or at least this particular video clip that I'm going to be uploading on YouTube. And you will find my details at the bottom, and don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate that. It is your likes and your subscribes that tell me that you like to have more. So, about yoga. A lot has been said about what yoga is. But today, I'm going to talk to you about what yoga is not. In my 35 years of practicing and teaching yoga, which started in 1983 and is still going on, I have studied different aspects of yoga and I have practiced different types of yoga. I studied with Mr. Iyengar of Iyengar Yoga. I studied with the Swamis in the Himalayas. And I've studied with different societies. And I've covered a great range of yoga. But it is so great that I don't think you can cover it in a lifetime. And a lot of the people who are watching this program, I'm sure, have also been indulging in yoga for a while. And everybody will tell you what yoga is, but nobody will tell you what yoga is not, which has, up to now, become a very important bone of contention, especially with belief systems and societies that have classified yoga in a manner where this particular science does not belong, in a manner which this particular science does not deserve. So without further ado, the first thing, what yoga is not. Yoga is not a religion. Yoga did not start in a religious society. It was carried by the Hindus, but it started much before that. If you read the Yoga Sutras of Maharishi Patanjali, he does not even mention the word God in the Yoga Sutras. That is how far away he is from religion. There are 4 books in the Yoga Sutras. There is the Sadhana Pada, the Vibhuti Pada, the Kaivalya Pada, and then there's the first one. And you will notice that when you go into these 4 padas, these 4 paths, and I want you to go up online and find out what the 4th one is. That's your homework. You read all of them and you will find that there is no mention of God at all. Absolutely no mention of God. Because yoga is not a religion. Many religions have latched on to yoga because the system of yoga is very helpful to belief systems that border on religious ideologies. But yoga in itself is not a religion. Number 2, what yoga is not. Yoga is not an exercise routine. Period. A lot of people in the West today have found the benefits of some of the exercises that are available in the 8-fold path of yoga. And these have been promoted by the likes of my Guruji Iyengar and Shivananda and many others. But yoga is not an exercise routine. The exercises that are performed in yoga are just the third step. There are 2 other steps before and 5 other steps after, which all put together make yoga. It is a science of spirituality. It is not gymnastics. Please be very clear. And most of the people who do gymnastics in the West eventually branch off to teach yoga when they grow older, and they incorporate the styles that they have learnt in gymnastics when they teach yoga. But a lot of the inner movements that are practiced in the asana are forgotten. That is why most teachers in the West, they teach only the pose and the posture and say this is how you do it and this is how you stay in the pose. And then you move on to the other pose. But what do you do when you are in that posture? Do you pull your kneecap? Do you draw in your quadriceps? Do you stretch from your shoulders? Do you relax the jaw? How do you breathe when you're in the postures? I have always said this, and this is what I've always said. It is not the yoga posture, but what you do when you're in the yoga posture that determines the quality of your yoga practice. Yoga is not a religion. Yoga is not an exercise routine. And those who practice exercises today and call it yoga are dead against the use of the word religion. Simultaneously and similarly, those who practice the religious aspects of yoga are dead against yoga being called an exercise routine. And you are both wrong, because you are like the 5 blind men of Hindustan who went to look for an elephant, and one says it's a rope, and the other one says it's a tail, and the third one says it's a wall, and one says it's a kite, and the fourth one says it's a snake, fifth one. It's all put together. So yoga is not a religion. Yoga is not an exercise routine. And yoga is not therapy. We have a lot of yoga therapy going around, because in the process of practicing yoga exercises, people have found that it keeps you healthy, so it becomes an exercise routine. People have also found that a lot of ailments can be overcome, so yoga has become a therapy. And yoga is not a therapy. To say that yoga therapy would be equivalent to saying that apple juice is apple. It has the contents of an apple, but it's still a juice. It's totally different from biting into an apple. And that is not even close to the analogy that I would like to give you. They're so different. Yoga is not a religion. Yoga is not an exercise routine. Yoga is not gymnastics, that is. And yoga is not a therapy. So please, in the future, if you are too busy practicing yoga exercises and calling it yoga, understand that you are looking at a very small aspect of what yoga truly is. And exercises is what yoga is not. If you are practicing prayer routines and meditations, or maybe havans, which is the burning of food in fire and stuff, or maybe chanting mantras, and you have this pseudo-spiritual or genuine spiritual, you could say, bent towards yoga, then understand that is what yoga is not. And if you are using yoga to heal yourself by doing certain exercises and it makes you feel better, even removes these ailments, and makes you whole again, guaranteed, I'm sure that would help. But remember that therapy is what yoga is not. It is difficult for me to tell you what yoga is because it cannot be described. If I sat here every day and tried to tell you what yoga is, I would come up with different explanations, different ways of looking at it, different answers, because it's a vast subject. And that is why I brought out 3 factors to inform you what yoga is not. So if you belong to a belief system that says yoga is from the devil, try to change that. Try to really experience the exercises. Try to experience the meditations. Try to practice the breathing exercises and go deeper into this system, this science of yoga. Do not get carried away by the religious bigots who will come up to you and try to use you and scare you. They are no different from the Christians of early days who told you that you will go to hell. And I have a right to say that because I was born a Catholic. Find out for yourself. Dive into this science and experience it and explore it and study it in a very scientific manner, in whatever way you find it best. And be wary and be very careful of people who will tell you that yoga is from the satanic side or from the devil. They are no different from the people who told me that if I committed mortal sin and did not confess on Sundays, and the mortal sin, if it was still on me and I died, I would go to hell for eternity. They told me that I had to go to church on Sundays, otherwise it was a mortal sin. Guess what? A lot of people stopped going. So they said, okay, Saturday evenings, God will understand. It's acceptable. No, my dear friend, don't do that. Be bold. God will judge you for your courage. You're not a goat and you're not a sheep. Find out what yoga is. And I'm not telling you now. And like I said for your homework, find out what is the 4th stage that I've not mentioned to you. I mentioned Sadhana Pada, I mentioned Vibhuti Pada, and I mentioned Kaivalya Pada. And if you find out that the answer is Samadhi Pada, then that would be a good answer. Study these books. There's a lot of science in there. Enjoy the day. Namaste.